I just finished watching every single pre-fight UFC press conference and media day interview before UFC Atlanta, and today I'm going to be diving into the fighters' headspaces. Maybe there's something that not a lot of people know about, whether you want to get to know the fighters, whether you're just excited for the card, or looking at this from a betting perspective. Maybe I can offer some helpful information for you. And again, usually I say that at the beginning of the video, but not again. Timestamps will be there in the pinned comment description down below if there's any fighter that you are particularly interested in. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's start off with Rose Namajunas. So if you've been following the channel, you might know that I've always been a little bit iffy on Rose Namajunas. I think that she is a vast superior fighter to Miranda Maverick. I think she's great, okay? But I question her motivation. Every once in a while she comes in, she just looks like she doesn't want to be here. She wants to go live on a farm. She's not exactly as invested in the sport, and while this could always change, I'm not completely sold. Rose looked very calm, happy to be there. I think it's a good thing for Rose Namajunas. Something that she spoke about is she's been really working on a relationship with God. I mean, if you've been following Rose Namajunas, you would know that she's always had a relationship with God, but I don't know exactly what she's been doing, but she's been spending this off time working on a relationship with God. It's a little bit tough to talk about this one, guys, because I am a man of faith myself. I believe in the power of, getting closer with God. I believe in the power of improving yourself as a person. On top of that, though, you have motivation. When there's a lot of people, no matter what God that you believe in, when there are people that are really devoted to their faith, they oftentimes become better versions of themselves. Like outside of just, whatever faith that you believe in, you oftentimes start working out harder, you're happier, you're content with life, you know that God will protect you, you're more willing to go to war, those types of things. So I think it's important when people say that they're working on the relationship with God. I think that really matters. The other thing that Rose Namajunas wanted to talk about was she was a little bit confusing on whether or not she has title aspirations, because she was talking about being a prize fighter. She could go down to 115 in the future. She just talked about wanting to be the best martial artist she could possibly be and wanting to challenge herself. This one's a bit of a double-edged sword, and I would love to know what you guys think about that in the comments down below, because I don't really know what to think about this one. If she's challenging herself to be the best martial artist in the world, does that mean that she still wants to get to the title? Or is she just honing in her skills and is going to be one of those fighters like, hey, I lost, but I improved? Do you guys know what I'm saying? I don't know if there's necessarily a fire under her because of that. I wish that I could dive into that, but I could see both meanings of that. Maybe that could just be hey, I'm improving from fight to fight and I'm going to be a champion again. That's a little bit of a toughie. But Rose Namajunas in general, I came back from it feeling very good about her. She seems locked in. She seems ready. But now, guys, I want to touch on Michael Chiesa. I was always very excited to hear Michael Chiesa talk. He's been one of my favorite fighters for a very long time. Obviously, the big question for Michael Chiesa, he's getting up there in age. What's the state of his career? Is his body holding up? Luckily, we had some questions for that, or some answers to those questions. Sorry. Michael Chiesa, he has been very positive. He still really loves to fight. His body's still holding up, and he doesn't know when he wants to call it quits. He's talked about never using the R word. His dad told him or something like that, never talking about being retired. He's been taking it from fight to fight, and he trusts his coach, and he knows his coach will be honest with him, where it's hey, you're not really holding up in sparring. You're not really holding up in the gym anymore, or you didn't look so good in this fight. He's leaving it up to the people around him to be honest with him on when he should retire. But to Michael Chiesa and to his coaches, he's still motivated. His body's still holding up, but he is taking it fight by fight. And at this moment, he's been really doing great. He also spoke about how much more tape study that he's been doing. Since he became an analyst, he looked at tape study and how fighters move a completely different way. He's noticing so much more attention to detail. And when it comes to even just the opponents that he's taking on, he's aware of all of the things that he needs to improve his game on. He's aware about what the sport is evolving, what kind of new trends that fighters are adapting in their fight style. So he seems locked in that. And he also mentioned, which is a little bit like I said with Rose Namajunas, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because he spoke about doing this for the love of the game, because he's content. He has money and he has his career after fighting. He's working as an analyst. I don't know what else he's doing. He spoke about just being okay. So he doesn't need to fight. I don't like that in the sense of okay, maybe he's not going to have the fire under him against I don't know how well Court McGee does on the other side of the coin when talking about Court McGee and his financials, because he that stuff matters. If you really need money, you're going to have a brand new fire lit under you. But if Michael Chiesa is just doing this for the love of competition and love for the game, yeah, you still can improve and you can perform well, but I don't think that necessarily matches up to somebody who absolutely needs the paycheck right now. I'm so happy for Michael Chiesa. I like him a lot as a guy. I've been a fan of his for a very long time, but there's been a couple things that are making me feel good. Like, he seems healthy. His body's still holding up, like he said. But I don't really like that he's comfortable at this point in his life. Maybe if things get really, really tough in the octagon, he might not have the heart or the will to actually push through. There's a couple good things, a couple bad things about Michael Chiesa, but I left off with another positive impression. Now I want to talk about Miranda Maverick, and Miranda Maverick had a pretty quick interview, and I actually learned, which I had no idea about. Apparently these two have trained together a bunch of times, and they're good friends. They just wanted to fight each other. Rose touched on that very briefly, just saying that she thinks she's better. But Miranda Maverick talked about how how great friends they are, how much they ended up training together. She went a little bit more in depth with it, but neither of them revealed what exactly happened when they sparred. So they have to learn each other. I just would imagine that Rose would take more information than Miranda Maverick would, to be honest with you. Another thing to mention about Miranda Maverick is she is a brand new mother, but then we also learned that the kid was adopted. I have all of the respect in the world for people who adopt children. I think that's an incredible thing to do. So I mean no disrespect when I say this. I don't think adopting a child lights a fire under you like somebody who's being a brand new father. And this is something that I've spoke about in other Headspace videos where it's something that I relate to. My sleepless nights online, I do YouTube for a job on multiple channels, and I also have voiceover work that I do. I work a lot online. My sleepless nights kicked into high gear once I had a kid. It's like, oh my God, I just want everything for this kid. I understand the mentality that the parents have, and I can't imagine what it's like when you're literally fighting for them. That fire is like nothing else. I don't believe that will naturally be there if you adopt a child. So I'm not looking at Miranda Maverick and being a new mother. And honestly, women and men are different too. I know women will absolutely have a fire, but it's not nearly the same amount of fire as a man would have to protect and provide for their children. I don't know how much I want to look into that. I'm not looking too much into that. The kid was adopted. She's happy, and she trained with Rose Namajunas, and she spoke about how great their friends are. Miranda Maverick, feeling good about it, but nothing really special came from that interview. But now, guys, let's talk about Kris Moutinho. Kris Moutinho, he spoke about being more of a complete fighter because he went on a win streak after losing to Sean O'Malley, and he's finally back into the UFC. There wasn't too much to take away. He said that he's a more complete fighter. He's fixed the flaws that he had prior to entering to the UFC, and his belief in God has never been stronger. Just like we spoke with, depending if you skipped to this part of the video, we spoke with Rose Namajunas. As soon as somebody gets closer to God, they typically become a better version of themselves. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs, man, because I still don't think he's like the best fighter in the world. I don't like, there's definitely room for improvement, and the fighters that he's been taking on outside the UFC don't really say much. So we'll need to see how he performs. I'm just completely neutral on Kris Moutinho right now. But now let's talk about Cody Garbrandt. And honestly, guys, I left like flat out, and I always feel bad for saying this because I'm a guy behind the microphone. I don't want to act like I'm better than anybody, and I know how it could come off. But I was left feeling very impressed by Cody Garbrandt and how understanding he was and how comfortable he was, because he gets a lot of flack from the fans, and he mentioned that, but there didn't seem to be like any salt whatsoever behind the words that he was saying. He just understands, excuse me if you can hear my notification, he understands what fans can be like. He understands that not everybody, like when he spoke about taking the shots at the back of the head, everybody thinking that he's quitting, he doesn't seem, like truly, doesn't seem bothered by any of it. He's just working on himself, wants to come in, wants to fight. I like how comfortable he seemed, how content he seemed, and how ready he seemed to fight. Unfortunately, the skills don't seem to necessarily back any of that up, but I was actually impressed by the mindset that Cody Garbrandt was coming in with. And another thing is, he, within the past year, like we've been talking about with other fighters, he has found God, and he's been journaling. I am somebody who's always trying to improve myself, and I've looked into journaling before. I've never understood it, to be honest with you. Everybody swears by it. A lot of people in the self-improvement space swear by it. A lot of successful people swear by it. I just never found that helpful, but hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Maybe Cody Garbrandt in his journaling helps his training. Let's continue on, though, and talk about Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley, as if you've been following Joaquin Buckley the last little while, he is supremely confident. And he never even, no words that came out of his mouth, okay? Nothing came out of his mouth actually suggested this. It's just a vibe that I got from him. I feel like Joaquin Buckley is kind of looking past Kamaru Usman a little bit, because the dude wants to be champion, the dude wants to be a star, the dude wants to build his name, and that's all great. I love his mindset in general. He's excited about his opportunities. He is logical. Like he's talked about Islam going up to 170. He's like, yeah, that guy has to step in. How could you not give him the title? I understand the UFC not being salty about it. That's always great. Keeping a logical mind in this game and not feeling entitled is something that a lot of fighters really need to learn. He just said that he wants to let his performances speak for themselves. He wants to continue to do great, and he wants to accept any opportunity that the UFC gives. He's excited to make a name for himself. He's excited to be a star. He also mentioned that he believes that he's a bad matchup for pretty well everyone in the division. He didn't say I'm exactly a bad matchup for everybody, but when you talk about Ian Gary, when you talk about Islam Makhachev, when you talk about Kamaru Usman, yeah, I'm just a bad matchup for him. So I do think that he thinks that and he very well could be, but I do think, and I get the vibe from, he is supremely confident, might be a little bit too confident, but hey, you know what? That just might be what you need to carry you through the UFC to the title. So Joaquin Buckley, feeling good about him. He thinks, and he kind of gives the vibe that he's going to walk through Kamaru Usman. Before we continue on to Court McGee, guys, I just want to stop for a second and say I really, really appreciate you watching this video. Your time is incredibly valuable, and the fact that you're spending on this channel means a lot to me. Thank you. If you're interested, we do upload content on multiple channels daily. You can find the link tree at the top of the description, as well as the actual links to those channels within the description down below. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels, and we are going to have our toes dipped in a lot of different niches on YouTube. So with that being said, let's continue on to Court McGee. And guys, I honestly don't have too much to say about Court McGee. He said his body feels good after I know he had surgery a little while ago, but he spent some time talking about like fixing his neck and all of that. He's taking it fight to fight. He's 40 years old. He feels good for 40. Nothing really to break down about that. But I was also particularly interested in hearing about Kamaru Usman, and he's had a very, very long layoff. Why is that? He just wanted to rest. He's been in this game for so long, and there was a couple things that he needed to fix, like injury-wise, but they seem to be pretty minor. But the main reason for Kamaru Usman taking time off was rest. I do believe that there is a motivation issue for Kamaru Usman. Apparently his knees don't work. He didn't really talk about that, but he's comfortable now. He also has a job as an analyst. He is doing great with a podcast. He is probably set for money. I have difficulty believing that there's a fire under him, especially if he's actually like having a good enough opportunity to take a rest. I'm happy for him. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for him that he's able to do that. It's just, I don't think that he's going to have the same drive as a Joaquin Buckley at all. But what Kamaru Usman did say is his motivation for fighting and still going at this point is to be a champion. That's his drive. His vibe didn't give off what he was saying. Those words came out of his mouth. His drive is still to be a champion. He still wants to be a champion in this sport. That's what he wants to do. I just didn't get the way that he was talking and the way that he was talking about resting and recharging. I didn't really get that feeling from him. So could be wrong though. Got to take Kamaru Usman at his word. That's just that's my takeaway from it. Now let's talk about Malcolm Wellmaker. And it was a little bit of a quick interview, but the dude is happy, he's positive, and he's excited. That is a good thing to bring into a fight. And you could tell, like, if you go back and just like take the little red bar and skim through, the guy's like happy to be in the UFC, happy for the opportunity, just like, oh yeah, like just smile on his face, happy to be here, happy to fight in front of the fans. That's a good mindset to have, man. Not too much to break down, unfortunately, about Malcolm Wellmaker. But now let's continue on to Cody Garbrandt. There's a couple of interesting things that I wanted to mention about Cody Garbrandt. So the vibe that I got from Cody Garbrandt right off the rip is he seemed a bit down and he seemed a bit tired. He seemed like, honestly, he seemed a little bit checked out. But that always could be because of the weight cut. He said that he had a long layoff and he's been really struggling with vertigo. He didn't exactly say that it's completely fixed, but I would imagine if he's fighting, if he took a fight, the vertigo is completely fixed, okay? But he was talking about just not being able to get off the couch, that type of stuff. That's a little bit worrying because he didn't spend all of this time off getting better, but well, you can just hope for the best for him, right? He also took the Sean O'Malley route. He quit alcohol a few years ago. He's celebrating his sobriety, and he recently quit smoking. And he spent quite a bit of time talking about how that would help you as a person, and it does. Staying away from alcohol, staying away from marijuana, I think that is a very, very good thing if you're a professional athlete. And I mean, it's a good thing in general. If you want to have the moderation talk, it's a conversation for another time and not exactly in place for UFC. But I'm talking about if you're trying to be a champion in the most competitive division in UFC history, I don't think you should be smoking, and I don't think that you should be drinking. But who am I? I'm just the guy behind a microphone, right? But how much do we want to look into this? Because Cody Garbrandt hasn't looked good in years. The vibe that I got from him, he seemed like he didn't really want to be there. It seemed like he was a little bit checked out and he's coming here for paychecks. And we all see how that worked out for Sean O'Malley. You know, they made a big deal about quitting drinking and quitting smoking, so we'll see what happens. I didn't get a really good feeling from Cody Garbrandt personally. But now I want to talk about Mansur Abdul Malik. This guy is coming in and he is motivated to get a big win, because he actually mentioned, and I think this is the title of one of the interviews, he is, in his words, truthfully, like when I say truthfully, the word truthfully came out of his mouth. He truthfully is disgusted with every performance that he has, because he is, from fight to fight, performing better. He looks at the guy that was previously performing going, wow, that is not me. He's always growing with each fight. He's always getting better. He's always training. And he also described himself as a man of extra. The example that he used, and I don't remember if it was exactly 5 miles, but it was like doubling whatever he was supposed to do. If he's supposed to run 5 kilometers, he'll do 10. That type of stuff. It seems like he's locked in on training. It seems like he's locked in wanting to be the best fighter in the world. It seems like he's locked in and ready for Cody Garbrandt. I have a good takeaway from Mansur, Abdul, Malik, and we'll see if his performance reflects that. If this dude keeps getting better, you got to take him at his word. Speaking of taking people at their words, though, have you taken a look at the betting guide that we made for the channel? I'd love to have you guys over there. Thank you very much for watching the video, everybody. Take care, guys.